This is the birds. Absolutely. Yeah. Like, what are you doing? Leave my face. Then my face alone. But I use these like
Yes, me too.
Have you heard about it? It's microneedling. Needles. Hundreds of
Jesus
go
God.
into your skin.
Come on.
Like a red. Sometimes it causes your skin to turn over. And so like you turn it out. You can't go anywhere for a couple days.
There's somebody's glasses right here.
I am, but I still do my outfit. I just started using yours.
Is it?
My friends reached out and was like, you need to go somewhere.
It seems to be doing just fine. Thank you, Alex.
I feel like there's 1,003 things I need to get to. Your hair looks cute. Yeah. Oh, that's really funny. Yeah, I talked to Carrie and I explained to her the positions. And she texted me and she was like, I mean, that is something I was thinking I heard. And I was like, my mom doesn't get me the restrictions. She's like, I don't understand. Yeah.
Okay, my clock says 10 o'clock, so whoever's chairing, we're ready to go whenever you are.
Yeah.
Eva, we are live streaming and recording.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so let's call this meeting to order. Everyone, it is Wednesday, March 18th. And the first thing we need to do is establish a quorum, and Commissioner Chuck, you are present.
Present.
Okay, and I am here as well, Commissioner Casey Miller, and that constitutes a quorum. So just to create some context, I am coming to you from Oregon Coast Community College. This is a virtual only meeting today. We are not meeting in person at the Lincoln County Courthouse. I'm imagining when we get to public comment, we'll discuss why things are virtual today, why we're not meeting at the courthouse. Commissioner Chuck, I think, are we going to highlight some of these things when we get to public comment in your mind? Oh, I can't hear you.
As we proceed with the meeting, well, I think we have it on the agenda.
Okay, great. So I know many have questions about that, me as well. So we'll get there when we get to discussion and public comments. We have no recognitions or proclamations today, and that brings us to the adoption of the consent calendar. Before I make a motion, Commissioner Chuck, do you have anything you wanted to highlight today?
Nothing to highlight for me. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Commissioner Chuck. Yeah, I have a few things I would like to highlight in the adoption of our consent calendar today. You know, we often say that these things are routine or they've come before the board before. And that is oftentimes true. I think today's consent calendar is a great example of how much work this organization is doing, and I just want to point out a few things here. If you look in the consent calendar, you'll see some special road district appointments, You are going to see some Health and Human Services funding. We've got an OHA Medicaid administrative agreement. That's for 2026 to 30. It constitutes $2.6 million. We have a behavioral health workforce grant at $144,000. So I think what I want people to see is these are significant external funds that are coming into Lincoln County for public health and behavioral health, right? A lot of important activity going on there. You're going to see some interagency partnership agreements. So you can see between Public Works and the Soil and Water Conservation District, we have a SNAP and WIC MOU. There's an emergency mutual aid agreement. So again, these agreements show the county's role as a connector between state agencies, nonprofits, and local partners, right? There are some public safety and justice items. If you look in the packet here, we've got a sheriff's office aftermath contract, juvenile expunctions contract, swank licensing for the jail. Again, so many of these items reflect operations in public safety, corrections, and justice system processes. One more thing here, land use, housing. We've got a major resolution here for Fistera Gardens townhomes. That housing development and land use activity has been very important to the county. And then finally, what you see in the consent calendar, and not everything, but the Commons project. And we are doing a CMGC alternative delivery method. This is similar to what we did with the animal shelter. And I think everybody's pretty pleased with the results that we got from that. And we're taking that same approach to a managed and a controlled, cost-contained approach to the Commons project. So a lot really happening here in this consent calendar today. And I've looked over it myself. Commissioner Chuck, you've said that sounds like you're ready to go. So let's have a motion to adopt the consent calendar.
I move that we approve the consent calendar as presented.
Okay, and I'll second that motion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion approved. Thanks for putting that together, everyone. That moves us to, well, let's just say this, we have no public hearings today. There is no decision and action items. And that moves us to discussion and information. And we have guests here with us today. I know Amy Thompson is with her. I can see her there. Public Information and Education Manager for Thompson Sanitary. Is Lexi with us today? She is, okay, of North Lincoln Sanitary. Dave Lamoose, are you here with us?
I think they were sending him an invite.
Okay.
We'll see if he, yeah.
Not now, okay. And is Paul Seitz with us today?
He was,
Look like it?
I don't think that, because when I came in, a webinar participant, and then I got sent an invite, and I'm wondering if they're maybe waiting on theirs or it's loading.
Oh, okay. Maybe just real briefly here, we can just double check that Geneva, thank you Geneva for running tech here. Do you think there's a possibility those people might be in the waiting room?
Paul is not on.
Okay. Okay. Well, Amy and Lexi, which one of you wants to start this off? Go for it.
I think I would love to. I know we sent the presentation, so I didn't know if somebody else was bringing that up.
Okay.
Or if I am. It wasn't real clear, so I'm.
Hey, Amy, can you just go ahead and share that?
Yeah, we get to that. I didn't have it up, so let me get there. Open real quick.
Amy, do you have screen share so you can bring it up, or?
Let me see if I have that option.
I can try, Amy. Oh, it says that it's not turned on.
yeah, not turned on.
Maybe we can give just Geneva a real quick sec to see if she can delegate screen share capability to you so you can pull that up. Or Geneva to pulling up the packet, either
Yeah,
way.
I could just tell her to progress that slides. It's not a ton of slides, so.
Okay, so stand by.
I'm
Let's
sorry, I
give
do not
her a
have that
moment.
ability with this setup. It's next time, but not this time. Very sorry.
Okay, so Geneva, just to be clear, are you not able to delegate her screen share then at the moment?
She's a panelist. I don't know why she can't share her screen.
Okay.
But I'm connected through the college's system. My laptop is not compatible in any way with their current setup, so I can't access the files.
Oh, there you go. Looks like Lexi. Yay! Good job, Lexi. I did not have access.
I just kept clicking
There
it.
you go.
Okay. Yay! There we
All
are.
Okay, here we go.
So we've kind of talked about, we're going to each kind of present in some different areas, and I'm going to start out. Good morning, Commission and everyone present. We, as Lincoln County haulers, representing Thompson Sanitary, North Lincoln, and Dahl Disposal, it's our requirement as per contracts with each of our municipalities and the county that we follow all the guidelines under the Opportunity to Recycle Act, which was it was actually passed in 1983. So Walter, Chuck, and Commissioner Miller, you both have in the packets our full Opportunity to Recycle reports for Lincoln City and for Newport, because as you see here, they're only required for cities over 4,000. And then there's also a Lincoln County Opportunity to Recycle report that Paul Seitz has filed on behalf of everyone else living in the county and the requirements for that. We didn't put it up on the screen because each one of those reports is 18 pages. So it's a very much like check off DEQ. And so what we're going to do is kind of walk you through why we do it and what you're seeing so that as you're reading it, you can understand. And I know you guys have seen, some of you have seen this before. So basically, since in 1983, when the Opportunity to Recycle Act was passed in Oregon, giving everyone the opportunity to recycle, a report is required annually. I'm hearing.
Hey, Casey, could you please turn off your microphone? We're getting a lot of feedback.
So a lot of, oops. So over the years, it has been more and more things that we are required to report on. A new DEQ gives us the report that we have to fill out every year. They give it to us in December. We have until February 1 to fill it out and file it with the DEQ, and then it is then approved. It has to be signed by city managers, all of that. And it goes through our services and what program elements we offer so that every citizen is aware of that. And you as our policymakers and our county administrators can know exactly what we're offering so that you are able to communicate that to the public if you get any questions about it. So basically, we provide curbside recycling container. All of us do that. Dahl is not even required to do that, but they do. We have expanded education and promotion programs, multifamily recycling, yard debris collection and composting, commercial recycling, and expanded recycling depots, which means we offer above and beyond what's even required. And then a food waste collection program for residential customers, which is also above and beyond what is required. So it just kind of gives you an idea of all of the things that we're meeting. And when you look at that report, you're also going to see this year that there's a lot of things highlighted in yellow. So all of those things that are highlighted in yellow are new to this year because of the Recycling Modernization Act, which was passed in 2021 and went into effect this July 2025. and it puts additional requirements for us on there, as well as we have opportunity to get some funding, which I'm sure you are all aware of because we've asked for it, and asked for for the funding so that we can educate and reduce contamination with recycling, because that is the goal. And we can go a lot into this if you have more questions, but there's a lot of statewide goals around recycling. And I think we can go to the next slide.
Okay, and as Amy very thoroughly explained, all three of us try really hard to meet the opportunity to recycle, even though, like she said, Dave's service areas at doll disposal, they are not required. And so the great news about the Recycling Modernization Act is that it brought a lot of continuity to the state, and one of those things was the universal recycling list. And so as you can see, our material now looks very similar to each other, if not identical. We just kind of provided 3 different options that we're all providing to customers. So doll disposal, that's the full recycling guide from the Circular Action Alliance, who is doing the Recycling Modernization Act for the state. And then Thompson's has kind of more of a recycling poster that you'll see around. These are really common at depots. And then I provided the OOPS tags, which are roll cart tags that go on if there's a contamination issue. And so I think the thing to highlight on this is that there has been a change to recycling and what can be accepted. Some things were taken off, some things were brought on. And so the good news in it all is that all of them have responsible end markets. And I think that that's the biggest issue that the Recycling Modernization was really touching on, was making sure that this material is going to the right place and being recycled responsibly. So these images are kind of small, but just to give you an idea, cartons are now accepted. So those kind of waxy broth cartons or coconut milk, those types, as well as milk cartons. And then you've also got new plastic, which are the larger containers of kitty litter and 5-gallon buckets. You've got plant pots, which is great. And then we also added tubs, so sour cream, cottage cheese, those kinds of plastic tubs that they're usually round. Sometimes they're a little bit rectangular with rounded edges. In the metal category, we added anything under 18 inches and I want to say 10 pounds. Is it lighter than that? I think 10 pounds and 18 inches can now be recycled in the mixed recycling, and that is seen as just a form of scrap metal. So that was a nice addition. And then for cardboard and cartons, I already talked about it. All that said, we've got some new updates. Reach out to us if anybody ever needs an updated list. They're listed on our website. We attach them to our bills, but sometimes it's nice to have a paper copy, so reach out. And then next slide is going to be regarding mixed compost. So the opportunity to recycle is a little bit misleading because it also includes our mixed compost service. We call it mixed compost because we accept both food waste and yard debris in there. So as a reminder to customers, all of your food waste, there are very, very few things food related that aren't accepted. The only thing that we see as a common contaminant, which means garbage that's in the mixed compost, would be things like compostable plastics. No animal waste is allowed. A lot of people think it's natural. It is not natural. So make sure to keep that out. But some fun things that you can throw in there that I think are missed a lot are tea bags, coffee grounds, a small amount of shredded paper if you have that and you kind of want to layer it. And then a small amount of, like, if your pizza box has a bunch of grease on it, you can rip that bottom half off and kind of layer your mixed compost because sometimes it gets a little stinky. So having some cardboard in there to help out is great. So we'll move on to the next slide. And I think that, okay, yeah, there we go. I think this one was Amy.
Yes, outreach and education. So this is a big part of the the opportunity to recycle report. They want to know specifically how we are reaching our public, our customers, and letting them know all the ways that they can recycle. There's a lot of different categories, and we have to, as you go through the opportunity to recycle, is as we go through the opportunity to recycle, we have to cite exactly how we met each outreach and education opportunity. So all of us do printed or emailed in monthly bills about a recycling brochure. We are all part of a regional solid waste advisory committee with Paul Seitz, our Lincoln County Solid Waste Director. We all of us meet weekly, actually, and then we also have a monthly meeting that includes representatives from each of the cities. I will highlight that Lincoln County is known in the state of Oregon as being very collaborative and as haulers, and we really try to send the same kind of message all together, so that if people are moving between communities or maybe live in one spot but work in the other, it should all be the same. Social media, we all are active on that. We all have apps that you can use to look up things that you can recycle, or how do you get rid of something in particular that's a bulky waste item, something like that. And it will tell you, it's like a search engine of materials. So it'll tell you what you need to do with it, what cart it goes in, or whether you need to bring it to the recycling center or the transfer station. We have news and events pages on our websites. We all do many events through the year. You'll probably see us out in the public at, like home and garden shows, national night outs, all sorts of different events trying to reach different sectors of our public. We also all do a free compost giveaway, which is coming up in April in honor of Earth Day, and that's April 18th on a Saturday, and where we give free compost away to our customers and public. And you can go to our different websites and Facebook pages to find out about that. Paul Seitz also provides a lot of solid waste publications and advisory for members of our community. A lot of questions about household hazardous waste. He's your guy to ask about that. He also does a lot when it comes to RV removal. You see public dumping in the woods, you report it to him. So that's a whole nother sector of kind of things that we work on. And then we've done a lot of events. We'll show you some pictures here in a little bit of things that we've done together, and sustainability presentations, how to prevent waste and reduce your waste, not just recycle, because that's the first things of the 3 R's. So Dave, did you want to add anything here?
Not specific to this slide, but just briefly, we talked about trying to keep things similar between our companies, and that's important. Not only I like to make things easy for myself, but also for our customers and for our customer service reps to know that the programs are the same, not only across the jurisdictions we serve, but the other locals as well, because we have employees and business owners that live in Newport but may work, in Toledo or Waldport, and so it makes it just that much easier to communicate the ins and outs of these programs when we're all singing the same song.
Dave, thank you for jumping in. I had a question for you at this point. We know that you are ahead of the curve, I think, compared to others in Lincoln County, and thank you so much for your advocacy. I think we've learned how much you're pushing the envelope. But I'm curious, how well are other, jurisdictions and counties across the state doing and, kind of making everything uniform? What is your take on how the rest of Oregon is doing? I'm just curious, because now in Lincoln County, it's getting same, which is wonderful. What do you think we'll expect, in the coming months, if we're traveling and going to different places? Just curious.
I think that's a great question, Commissioner. I think probably Lexi and Amy might be in a better position to answer this. They presented at the Association of Oregon Recyclers forum recently, and they may have a better idea of how other folks across the state are progressing.
I think one thing that we've noticed is the bigger cities are having a much easier time of this. Just being realistic, they have solid waste staff on hand. We have wonderful Paul, who does a ton for us, but he's just for the county. And so, we have Depot Bay and Lincoln City. Dave has a bunch of them down south. And so for us, we're having to rely on our intercompany staff to get this done. And so I'm seeing a lot of other companies that are smaller and in just smaller areas where their local government doesn't have the staff to help. It's a little bit slower moving. I'll just be honest. I don't think that it's to any fault of their own. This has been a huge lift. The Recycling Modernization Act and even the updates to the opportunity to recycle are heavy. It's taking a ton of admin time, and we're trying really hard to balance that with the funding that we're receiving for the local government and making sure that it's equitable to the amount of funds that are coming in. So I would say bigger cities, like we heard Lane County and City of Eugene and City of Portland, we're all presenting on these $500,000 projects that they're doing. And we're a tiny drop in the bucket in comparison, and still trying to provide a really high level of service to our customers. So I think for the size of Lincoln County and for the size of our companies, we're trying really hard to match what very large local governments are being able to do. And I'm proud of us for that.
And I think we have a slide further in here that addresses a little bit more about specifically about the RMA, what you're asking about, Commissioner Miller, and some of those heavy lift items. But you will see more in public facing from our haulers. And it's very common for small rural areas where the haulers take this responsibility because this governments are smaller. And so it is very common. It's all rolling out and we're figuring it out as we go. But I personally would say for a rural county, we're ahead of the curve compared to other rural counties if we're comparing apples to apples. And that's just my feeling. And all three of us are very active statewide. So I think we have a good pulse on that, but we could go towards the next slides, Lexi, and we can get through.
Yes, so these are some good real life examples of what we're talking about. As a Haulers Association, we work really hard to make sure that we're, again, together on a lot of this stuff when it comes to the county, because just like Amy and Dave mentioned, there are a lot of people that are going back and forth between all of the cities. And we want to make sure that that message is really clear, and we want to show a united front with the solid waste district for the county as well. So you can see we've presented to the Lincoln County Board of Realtors, we've presented to, I believe that was the Lincoln County Health Department. We also present together at our state level functions, so the Association of Oregon Recyclers, the Oregon Refuse and Recycling Association. We were really proud of Paul because he went and spoke to his illegal dumping program, of cleaning up RVs and everything to the state level, and had a ton of questions because it's such a great program and a lot of people were really curious about it. In that bottom right corner, you can see our Follow the Waste tour that we did with all of our local dignitaries. So we invited our mayors, our city council, our commissioners, and took them along on a bus to the landfill, as well as the compost facility and the recycling facility that we take most of our materials to. And I think that that's a really good real world example of what does this community producing in waste, right? But then also, where is it going? And is it going somewhere responsible? And is it going somewhere that can be trusted? And I think that it's a testament to our state as a whole, that our industry is highly regulated and in a very good way. We work really closely with our local government, but we also work really closely with our state government, DEQ. We have a DEQ representative, Kat Rhodes, who shows up to our monthly meetings with the Regional Solid Waste Committee, and she's amazing, and we love her, and that's not normal. We talk to the California and Washington associations for solid waste, and they do not have those kinds of relationships with their representatives. So we feel very lucky. And I think that this speaks to that. Dave, did you want to talk to about education with schools? And Amy, I know you've done some stuff with that as well.
Yeah, so one of the things we like about getting into the schools is, this information is infectious, right? You load the kids up with new knowledge of what's recyclable and why it matters, and they take that home. They share it with their family. They share it with grandma. They share it with their siblings, and it just helps us spread the word. Amy and Lexi have both had some great opportunities to put kids on buses and take them on that same Follow the Waste tour. I'm sure they can tell you more details about that.
Yeah, actually, I just did one yesterday. Our annual Follow the Waste tour for all 7th graders in Newport Middle School. And then the Friday previous to that, I go in and present to all the 7th grade science classes in cooperation with the 7th grade science teacher, because it fits in this unit right now about recycling and waste management and science. So I go in and present all day, and then we get on a bus. We had 100 7th graders yesterday, and we are the only groups that bring that many kids to the recycling center and then the landfill. If we had time, we would take them to the compost facility as well. But we are a little bit far away from these places because we haul all of our waste out of Lincoln County. So we're eating lunch on the bus and we're getting all the information in. And I'm just always amazed about all the kids' questions and what they are understanding about their waste. And it's just I call it Waste 101. They know how much they're creating, and we're asking them how they can reduce that in their own lives. So it's very impactful. Newport Middle School also has a Green Team elective course that works on composting all the food waste at the middle school. The teacher there, Mr. Martin, also is highly knowledgeable personally about sustainability. So he teaches a lot of things and asks them to challenge themselves on different ways that they can learn about sustainability and how they can do that at the school. So a lot of good stuff going on there. I think all of us feel like our biggest bang for our buck is educating these kids. Because a lot of times even they're the ones that are taking out the recycling and the trash at their own homes. And also these are our future customers. And sometimes adults are just surviving. And so they don't have the time for all this input, and their kids can help gently correct maybe some of the behaviors about recycling. So we just feel it's really valuable. And down here on the left, you'll see I do a waste audit with the Newport Middle School Green Team, and that's where we literally dump all of the garbage on those mats, and we sort it out and put it in different categories and weigh it, and see if we're getting any better at collecting compost or collecting recyclables, and it gives us a way to measure so that they can get better at it, basically. So.
Yeah, and just to add on, let me ride along last year on all of their Follow the Waste tours with the middle school, and so I was able to implement the same program at Taft, and that is a huge thanks to the administration there for just going along with my crazy idea. I'm like, so we're gonna dump garbage and compost on the floor, and then we're gonna have the kids sort through it, and then we're gonna weigh it. I'm like, Amy did it, it's fine. So we got that done, and now they have a green team as well, and they get to see the landfill. It's very fun. They scream about the smell. So moving to recycling depots, I think we'll just each speak on this. So our location, we have our office on Highway 101, and you can now get, the only thing that really is related to recycling at the actual office is we provide essentially prescription take back bags or mailers for people to mail back their prescription drugs that are either no longer needed or expired. And those go directly to the end market where they are recycled. And that is brand new, like as of this month. So that's kind of an exciting update because we heard that pharmacies aren't as apt to take them. And also that the police departments are not wanting them either. So we were like, okay, we need a solution to this. And Paul set it up for us. So thanks, Paul. The recycling center takes a myriad of things. I really like to tout that our recycling centers take more than any recycling center that I have visited. And I have been to a lot of recycling centers because I have been in this industry since I was a kid, and I've toured a lot of garbage facilities. And we staff ours, and we're super grateful for his help. He makes sure that everything's going in the right place. He provides contamination reduction education. And so we have a full list of everything that's accepted on our website. And then lastly, we have the Schooner Creek Refuse Transfer Station. And there we do have a free recycling depot just right at the entrance for cardboard, scrap metal, and glass. There might be more coming with the Recycling Modernization Act. There are some what they are calling PRO depots, and we're hoping to get those in 2027. So more to come.
And so for Dahl, we have two recycling depots, one at each transfer station. That started off as just sort of a requirement, but if you're a transfer station, you needed to have a recycling depot of some kind. But it was pretty limited. The requirements, it was something like newspaper, cardboard, and motor oil when it first started. It's evolved for us. We see a variety of different customers. We have folks who say they missed their curbside recycling day. We have an opportunity for them to bring that material into us. We have folks that don't have curbside collection service that are self-haulers, and we have a lot of visitors who are there for a short time, and their vacation rental either doesn't have service, or it's not convenient for them. They drop it off on their way back out of town. As Alexa mentioned, we take additional items there at the transfer stations that we don't take at the curb. Things like electronics and batteries that require some special handling. One thing that's different about our Toledo transfer station than the others is that we have a vehicle dismantler's permit. We buy metal, and there are a lot of rules that go along with providing those services within the laws, both the legal aspects, but then also the environmental aspects. And we also handle the RV demolition. So when Paul talks about his abandoned RV recovery programs, those vehicles get tested for asbestos, they get drained appropriately, and then they are humanely dismantled at our facilities, according to the solid waste laws that relate to how those vehicles need to be destroyed. We're happy to be to serve that role as part of the RV program.
Yeah, and they are the only ones in the county that do the dismantling. So, yeah, and then here are our locations. We have the transfer station, we have our office, a recycling center, and we just opened up a new recycling center inside our one of our warehouse buildings instead of it being outside because of all the additional items now that are a part of the Recycling Modernization Act, and more to come, like Lexi was saying, early 2027. So, and we can talk about that. But we just see more and more items being added as we go along for a depot type situation to give people the opportunity to recycle even more of their stuff as long as it's source separated.
Yeah, I was going to add into that. The idea behind the depots is that there are very few items that can go through a material recovery facility and make it out clean and unharmed and in the right bale of end market material. And so the idea behind the depots is to provide a way to not add the items that are going to make a mess of things in the mixed recycling at the MRF, MRF, but still have an end market that is viable and has the ability to recycle the materials. So that's why they have to be separated. One thing I did forget to add is last week, very exciting news, we are now able to recycle film plastics, which is polyethylene film. So think Ziploc bags, grocery bags, anything that's kind of flexible film packaging. So that's the reasoning. We try really hard to keep a lot of that out of the mixed recycling because it's very difficult to get those items separated. So.
Yeah, and this is our last slide, and then if you guys have any more questions, but this is really just an overview of the Recycling Modernization Act. It's quite extensive. So it's hard to explain it all. And we've gone over with, I know with you all before about this. I was on the second rulemaking committee as one of the 2 hauler representatives for the state, really representing our rural side. And I know Lexi and Dave all attended those meetings as well. But there's a lot to it, and it's really a shared responsibility model where it's us haulers, it's municipalities and governments, it's DEQ, it's also the packaging companies. And that's really the big key to this, is that the packaging companies are now being responsible for the packaging that they create. And they're having to pay into this system. So it's like a central, we call it a PRO, a producer responsibility organization. They pay into that, and then which helps us educate, get money for education and posters and things like that, as well as try to equalize the system a little bit in the fact that we are a long way from our recycling facilities. So any haulers over 50 miles get some reimbursement for that transportation to those markets. And then like Lexi talked about before, it's also the responsible end market. So DEQ is vetting where all these recycling facilities are sending their material and making sure it's not going somewhere and polluting, other countries like we've heard about. So Oregon, I tell this to a lot of people, we are really the leader in the nation. We are the first ones to come up with this. And there's like 8 or 9 states that are watching how we're implementing this and making notes. One of the big ones to come on next would be California, Washington as well. But when California comes on, it's going to make a big difference because they are the 4th largest economy in the world. And the packagers, they're paying money based on the packaging that they're creating, which is then broken down to 7 different ways they're graded basically about their packaging and how much money they have to pay depending on whether it's recyclable, how much natural resources it uses, how much carbon, how much plastic contamination does it possibly cause. And so if they make their packaging better, then they get to pay less. And when they're doing packaging in Oregon, maybe doesn't really move the needle, but when California comes on board, we might see a big change in packaging, and that's what we're hoping for. That's the intent of the law. So and so there's a lot of things that come along with that, and then they're having to help us pay into the recycling system, modernize some of our recycling facilities that are sorting out all these materials, but also offering us to be able to recycle more things at our depot and give that opportunity to a lot of people. And having a uniform statewide collection list, so that the theory is if you are here or Pendleton or Eugene, wherever you go, it's the same recycling list. And some of that means also, like Lincoln County has had curbside recycling for a long time. We've had automated curbside recycling for a long time. And places like Pendleton and Roseburg do not have that still. So this system is helping them get that started. So we're already meet a lot of these requirements, but we're just going to offer more. We're really excited about the education piece because that's been kind of a heavy lift for us, creating brochures and all that kind of thing. And now they will help us in creating those so that we can all look the same. And when people go from one community to another, it looks similar. So that's in a nutshell, the RMA. But we would love to answer any questions about opportunity to recycle, RMA, whatever. And I know Commissioner Chuck attends our monthly meetings for a regional waste advisory committee. So he's pretty familiar with a lot of this stuff.
Thanks, everyone. A great presentation. I have a few questions. Commissioner Chuck, where would you like to go right now? Please, maybe ask some questions or tell us about what you've been doing too. I think it's great that you're attending those meetings.
Yeah, I've been attending quite a few of them, and then also attending the haulers meetings. They have those every week. I think I drop in at least once or twice a month. Yeah, can you, there's a couple things that we talk about that probably need to get done more often. If you can provide a little bit of background, is hazmat collections. I know we only do one. Is that, I mean, that's something that we would like to see more. And do you have any suggestions other than talking to the state about getting more of those done? Dave?
Yeah, I think I can address that. So the solid waste district has a surcharge on every ton of garbage that is bound for the landfill that's produced in Lincoln County. So that's the solid waste district. That's Paul's sites. It's where he gets the money for his programs. The real challenge is that those events are expensive, and it costs. I think it's something like 70% of the cost of the event is opening it up and taking it down. The other 30% is what varies depending on how much material actually comes in. They have to staff the same for if they have 10 cars as they do if they have 150 cars. So those fixed costs of holding an event make it a challenge to have more than one in a year. And unfortunately, our county is so spread out that because it rotates, it's unlikely that someone in Yachats is going to drive up to an event, even in Toledo, much less all the way in Lincoln County. So it does force folks who want to do the right thing to hold on to that material. As part of that, we try to do a lot of education on avoiding using those products in the first place. Many of those alternatives also can save you at the checkout stand as well. There are possibilities to have something similar to, say, Clatsop County or Tillman County, where they have one permanent event site. But both of those were built with significant grants from DEQ, and that funding, from what we've heard, not only is it not currently available, it's unlikely to be available again anytime soon. So there are some things we can do, but I don't know that we just have it in that current budget to support more than one event. I would love to have it. We know that every container that comes through the household hazardous waste event is one that reduces the exposure risk for our customers, and particularly for our route drivers and our transfer station employees. When those chemicals mix together in a load, not only they can start a fire, they can release toxic gas. It's nasty, and it's expensive to clean it up when we encounter it. And so we'd love to have that more often. There is similar to what we saw with the packaging and with batteries, and now mattresses. With mattresses and now batteries. These EPR programs, there has been some talk about extending that concept to products that would classify as household hazardous waste. That's a big lift, but I didn't think we'd pass packaging EPR programs, so what do I know? But that is a possible solution that would provide some additional funds to have these events more often.
And I do think it affects rural counties much heavier than it does the urban areas, because they do have multi-million-dollar facilities that are accepting household hazardous waste regularly, and rural counties do not. It is really tough if you drive through Oregon and look at where the HHW facilities are. There is some mileage between where people can take things. So our best case scenario right now is please give us a call. If you know your hauler's phone number, call the office. We will find a solution for you. Paul is also a really great resource when it comes to that.
He has it posted on the county website to all of the different places that do take it. Like, let's say you're going to the Valley, there's some different alternatives to take your household hazardous waste. So.
Commissioner Chuck, do you have more?
Yeah, I got a few of them. I'll do one more, then you can go, Commissioner. How is the mail-in recycling affecting your business? We had talked about that at some of our meetings too, and that's something that's a concern of myself and others, because we don't really know where that garbage is going, do we? Or sorry, recycling.
Yeah. There are mail-in programs that have been advertised here in the county, online. There's several of them, but there's one that's really targeting Oregon and specifically. And that is an issue. We really don't know how much it's affecting us, because we don't really measure what's coming in as far as those depot kind of items. But it is very concerning, because as haulers, we are bound to recycle everything that we take, like it's a state law. If we accept it for recycling, it has to go to responsible end market. And those mail-in programs do not have the same standards. So they tell you on their website that they have a partnership with this or that, but there's also been independent evidence that it's not going to those places, and it might be even incinerated. So I just caution people from paying a lot, trying to do the right thing, because it's well-intentioned people that are sending that stuff off because they don't want it to go to the landfill. But there's a reason that some of those things aren't in the regular recycling system, and that's because there's no markets for them, or if they are, they're very small. And so we are hoping as haulers to start offering something like that soon. And so we're putting some things together that you will see in the future about some maybe curbside recycling subscription services. So it's there, no one has to do it. It's only if they want to do it. But all of the things that we collect will absolutely have responsible end markets, and we will be able to tell you exactly where they're going, and most of them are in Oregon. So yeah.
Amy, forgive me, Commissioner Chuck, mail-in recycling, I've never even heard of this. What is that?
So
exactly what it sounds like?
Yeah, so it's like
a bad idea. That's what it is. Oh, are we live?
You want to recycle like some of those bubble mailers, or you want to recycle plastic bags, film plastic, and they will charge you a fee every month and for you to stuff all this stuff in and mail it. So we're not even getting to also the carbon impact of that. Like when we collect things in a bulk way and we deal with them regionally, it's much better carbon impact. Whereas some of those mail-in programs, they're being sent across the country. So it's actually better to throw it in the landfill, carbon speaking, than it would be to recycle those. The benefit from recycling is lost at that point. Does that make sense? Yeah. So there are several ones, but there's really one particular company that's really targeting Oregon. Yeah. And
I think it's important to point out these businesses may have been started originally with the best of intentions. Yeah. The challenge is once you start accepting something for recovery, you really have to keep doing it. It's really hard to turn that faucet off. So what some of the folks that know a lot more about marketing and moving material across the country, it's not so much about whether or not you're going to get paid for it. It's like, do you know from week to week, from month to month, that you're going to have a place to send it? When some of these small markets or small producers get overwhelmed or shut down because their business model relied on, say, venture capital or some other outside investment that they don't have any control over. Now you've got no market or only a sketchy export market, but you can't really turn it off. So, like I said, the folks that know more about me say things like, one market is no market, right? You can't put all your eggs in one basket and start telling the public you'll take something without a good plan on how you're going to move it along to actually get recycled.
And I think that something to be really aware of is that anybody that is wanting to play outside of the rules, aka not be regulated, there's a red flag there. And these mail-in programs are dodging every bullet that DEQ is trying to send to them, saying, hey, we really like you to be a part of this system. And why do they not want to be? That's the question that you have to ask yourself, is why is private equity backing something that doesn't want to be regulated? That's always a really scary question.
Yeah.
Anything else, Commissioner Chuck? Are you still on a roll, or?
I've got a couple things, but go ahead, Commissioner Miller. I don't want to take up all the time.
Yeah, no, thank you, Commissioner Chuck. Well, I just appreciate it, the presentation so much. You know, for many years prior to being a commissioner, you know, as the PIO, just seeing you come year after year present and evolve too as local stewards to this community. I just, you know, how do I put into context that, you know, as employers, but also living and working here, like, you care about this community. And I think it shows in, you know, the professionalism and the sophistication of how you all approach your individual businesses. But really what you do is you try to make it as easy as possible for the consumer, a very complicated thing. I just appreciate that so much. I think this is great information. And really, I think one of the main things I want to do is just to make sure before we finish that you just, again, remind us, what is the main thing we can do to be responsible customers? Like, what does that ideal customer look like to you, where you go, yeah, I wish everybody just did that, you know? If you could maybe put that into context, it would be great. And then, of course, if there's anything else, you know, the county needs to be doing to facilitate your mission, you know, please always let us know. Commissioner Chuck is interfacing with you guys, and I think that's great. But, you know, the board wants to be here to help the community. But you're already kind of ahead of the curve, like you said. So thank you. And yeah, any brief sort of do this, we'll all be better for it, would be great.
I think the most important thing is just try to be interested in it for us, please. So be interested enough to be curious about what goes in your cart. And if you're not seeing information from us, please call us or look at our websites. All of us have the brochures on there, but you'll be seeing more things from us as more funding is happening. But and we're going to try to reach out even more and have some of those funding things that we would have loved to do before, but we didn't want to raise rates, right, to do it. So now we can get some of those more educational materials out to our public and to people who aren't even customers. And capture some more recycling and knowledge for people. And if anybody ever wants us to come speak, we do it a lot and we like doing it. We like interacting, the one-on-one, the group of 30, whatever. It really, for us, is a way to pass on information. And those people then can share it with the community that they travel in. So, and then I would just say that we really appreciate too all of your guys' support through this whole process. All of the different paperwork that's been required, and sometimes it's like, can you do this right now? You know, so because we didn't know we were supposed to have it in by a certain time. It's just we're all figuring this out together, including at the state level. And then, you know, we do have an issue with our landfill, right? And Commissioner Chuck has been helpful in that, in helping us and talking with other counties about, you know, our landfill has a finite time, the one that we haul to, and it's a big issue, and we're working on it. We want everyone to know that we're all working on this, because it takes years to figure out a different place to take it to, and so we are very aware, and we want to keep rates down. We want to keep costs down as much as possible, and all these are negotiated, right? Because these landfills are owned by huge waste companies, and we are tiny. which is great because we all live and work here, and all of our customer service people live and work here, and our drivers and everything like that. But that's where we try to work together. So
Yeah, I would just echo Amy. Be curious, ask us questions. We are, just like she said, we're local in the community, so we want to be a part of our community. And then, yeah, I would echo that we've dealt with landfill closures before. This isn't necessarily new to us. It just sucks every time. So we're going to deal with it in the best way that we know how. And we are grateful to Commissioner Chuck for his help and his interest in wanting to find the best solution for Lincoln County schools. So.
Thank you, Dave. Do you have any closing? And then I'll let Commissioner Chuck take us out of this.
As usual, Amy and Lexi have done a better job at expressing themselves than I have. But like I said, I'm happy to come to your church social, your Cub Scout meeting, your first grade classroom, your high school classroom. We've gotten pretty good at adjusting our content and the level of detail, especially on the science end of things, to be able to have the same, it's conversation on the same topic, but it's geared more towards the audience. And so I think that's what I'd encourage people to do is reach out to us, and we're happy to show up and educate best we can.
Very good. Commissioner Chuck, why don't you close out everything for us? Thank you.
Sure, thanks. It's been really great working with Amy and Dave and Lexi. I learned more in the last year about solid waste than I ever thought I would. But it's very interesting. It's a very hard problem to solve, and you all three of you do a very good job of doing it. And I'm looking forward to our field trip Friday after next. We're going up to Arlington to tour the waste management facility up there. I arranged that with Commissioner Wilkins from the county up there, and we're going to go see where our garbage might be going. Yeah, that's it. It's been great working with you folks, and looking forward to continuing.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for showing up. Appreciate it. Have a great day, everyone.
thank you.
Okay.
Commissioner Miller, can we take a 5-minute restroom break?
Yeah, okay. So for everyone watching now, we're going to take a quick recess. We will be back at 11:05. So hang in there, and thanks for being here. We'll be right back. 5 minutes.
The recording has stopped.
Okay. How many more agenda items do we have? Are we gonna be out of here by noon?
I don't know, I can't walk the.
I have-
service here.
Yeah, there's no cell phone service here.
Yep. I posted the agenda to my video, but only one page will come up, so. I mean, we have to go through H, we're at A.
This is where you are.
Hi, Casey. Are you lonely over there?
Well, I knew it was going to feed back in here if I was in here, so I knew that wasn't going to work. But yeah, I was over there going, oh, shoot. Okay, here's where they are.
Commissioner Miller, if we can continue this, do you think they could get agendas for us? Because we don't bring them with us. We didn't have them.
I've got it.
You do. Perfect.
Excellent. Excellent. my pants. How you doing, Todd?
Son,
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Excellent.
I've been getting lots of things done around home,
Like what?
getting things cleaned up. Got a couple of rhododendrons cut down, all alive.
I always like to get things
My
organized.
shop
makes me
clean.
feel better, yeah.
A woodshed and yard all cleaned up.
Honestly, all of that stuff, it's like cathartic. I like your jacket.
Oh, thank you. It's a new one, and I found recently. Got pretty lucky at Goodwill on that.
They have some good stuff.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
have some good stuff at that place down by the gym here.
By the senior center?
Yeah.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
had some like camel colored leather gloves. They were Coach. They were $24. I loved them, but
Is
I was
that
like,
the one here in Newport?
yeah.
It's like a boutique.
Yeah.
I have
And
never
they were,
been
and
there.
I think they were new,
Yeah.
but I didn't get them. I
I
was
mean,
like,
it's good.
but they just,
I don't buy new clothes.
It's like
Unless
worth
I
like-
absolutely have
Right.
to, very few things I'll buy new.
yeah.
I mean,
I've
that's
got some good stuff
got a
in
little
there.
purse there that normally is like $89. It's brand new, and I got it for $19.99.
Yeah. My mom just got a bag there too.
Yeah. You have some good stuff.
Talk about this, apparel's one of them, the one things. Everything's new with tax that anything like that.
I just drop all my stuff off at Goodwill, or I take it to, usually, or the antique mall.
Well, everything but the underwear, right?
I swear I think I've donated underwear
I'm sure
before.
people donate.
It was all
We
by
got a lot of
accident.
clothes after the fires, like that was probably 80% of what filled the basement of the bar was just clothes. And, yeah, what people will donate is shocking.
Well, you know, I did the same thing. You know, I lost a house to the Canyon fire in California. And so it was not our primary residence, so I was in better shape than
Most, yeah.
And so I invited them all back to our house in Milton Hills, and I had everybody deliver. I couldn't believe the stuff people thought that it was okay to donate.
This meeting is being recorded.
It's like a threat. It's just.
Okay, I heard the notification that this meeting is being recorded, so just double checking with Ms. Campitelli. Are we back in live streaming? And then sounds like at least Zoom is recording, so just want to make sure technically everything is where we want it. I can see the meeting room
I think
over
she
there.
did. I think Geneva gave a hands up, so she's good. Thumbs up.
Okay, all right. All right, thank you. All right, we're back, everyone. Continuing our meeting, coming out of recess, we're into the discussion item, public comment rules, and listed here is Commissioner Chuck and Miller. Now, how would we like to begin? Commissioner Chuck, you know I've requested this before, so I'm pleased to see that we're discussing it. Did you yourself, have anywhere that you want to start, or, how would you like to begin from your perspective? And then I can certainly offer my thoughts too to kind of focus the conversation. Walter, are you talking? Can you hear me?
Yes, I've gone over the public comment rules, and my concern is that they are not being followed in a consistent manner, and that has created some instances where some personal attacks have been made, and that people have been made uncomfortable coming to the meetings regarding some of these things. And it's a concern of mine. I have been reached out from staff here in the building and department heads, and not just the public comment, but also just the way it's being conducted and the manner and the demeanor in the room. It's not a very welcome place for some people, and we've also, you and I both had emails from the public. I've had members of the public talk to me about that, is that due to some of the things that have been going on at our meetings, they are not welcome there, and I don't think that that's a good thing. Everybody wants to see transparency, but I don't think it's very transparent when people do not feel safe or do not feel welcome to come speak at our meetings.
Excuse me there, Commissioner Chuck, unmuting. Anything else, Walter, for the moment, or?
No, that's it for the moment.
Okay, yeah, well, thank you. And, I think when I saw the agenda published on Friday, I could see that public comment was not on the agenda. It was also apparent that the meeting was going to be virtual. I also received communication from our HR director talking about safety concerns. So, I presumed that the last meeting, and as you say, over the course of the last year, even more, there being tension, right? That all of that maybe, put together really created this, maybe, I don't know, a pause, if you will, so that we can kind of take a look at what's going on and really see what we need to do. That was my sense of what was happening. So, Council Yule, as the creator of the agenda, can you talk a little bit about your coordination with HR to remove public comment and kind of create some context for what you guys were thinking was needed? And is my sense correct that you were looking for Commissioner Chuck and I to kind of make some changes so that everybody feels safe, comfortable, heard in the public comment category?
Thank you, commissioners. Yes, I received a similar directive from HR that because of the current environment, it was creating a safety risk for staff, for other employees. Employees were no longer willing to come to meetings. For the last several months, I've been approached by director heads that have business that they need to put on the agenda, but because they don't feel safe coming to the meetings, they asked if I would present it for them. And that's been occurring for a while. So yeah, just kind of looking for you guys to just discuss this. Obviously, safety from a risk management point of view and for a liability point of view is tantamount. It should be foremost for everybody. I have also received input from members of the public and constituents that they no longer attend anymore because they don't feel safe coming to our meetings.
Okay, thanks, Council Yule, for providing some context for us. Thoughts about this, for me, I think I've requested that we look at the public comment rules, for a while, and for members of the public, we adopted the public comment rules in February, I think, of 2025. And, it's really important that we, as the commission are aware of our rules, that the community is aware of the rules, right? So we're all on the same page. For me personally, and I feel like this is reflected by a lot of the community as well, that, public is the community's opportunity to engage their governing body. So it's really, really important in my mind that we retain it, that we maintain it, but at the same time, that it is serves both the county, the organization, and then serves the community, right? I think it was, I had heard from Marcy Kerr. She had said something to the effect of, wouldn't it be great if no matter what jurisdiction you went into, whether it was the city of Silet or it was the city of Lincoln City or Lincoln County, that how to engage your government, that public comment rules were the same everywhere. And I just think that's a really interesting point and wonderful aspiration, that a community member, no matter where they were going, knew that, their government was receptive to them, but also how to engage their government. And so the rules, again, sort of create that framework. As somebody visits the meeting, what's allowed, what's not allowed. So in the packet, we see the public comment rules, and I think that's a good place to start. And then for us, one of the things that I feel like is causing confusion, tension, is that we have other rules around how the community can engage in terms of signing up virtually, when they need to submit their comment, when they're coming to the meeting. My observation is that has just been something that just creates uncertainty. Now, I feel like what I've heard before is well, part of the reason we have the virtual sign up is so we can be ensured that people actually look at the rules so that they know. And I think that's one way to make sure that they're reviewing those things, hopefully. I've looked at some other jurisdictions. I know some just read the rules, right? Might be a little laborious, but they do that at the beginning of every meeting. That's one way to ensure that everybody's on the same page when we start these engagements. So that could be something for us to think about. I know that I would be happy to, put together myself, a larger memo, variations of our rules. I wouldn't mind crafting revised rules that I think help us hit the mark so we can continue to provide comment. Certainly public feedback would be helpful, because I feel like we all have touch points with the community, but yet we're getting sort of potentially different perspectives. Asking the community for what they want, what would make it easier for them. I know I've certainly heard things in conversations. So if we can kind of pull all that information together, and then, create maybe new rules, revised rules, that resolve a lot of the things we're talking about, that's what I would like to try to do and move forward, so we can keep public comment, but that the comment is productive. And you've got people coming in person, You've got people doing it virtually, but we also have written comment. And this is a question for you, Council Yule. Thanks to you both for being patient with me. You know, when I was looking at City of Lincoln City this week, you know, I noticed that they have a separate form and procedure for grievances, for example. And I feel like maybe one of the things we need to really dial in our public comment rules is, you know, that when somebody has a grievance, for example, and I certainly don't want us to limit what people can come in and say, but my sense is that sometimes people really have grievances, and, you know, if there is a separate way to take a certain type of comment and make sure, you know, I want to make sure these people are followed up with and heard. But my sense is that when you speak of risk and liability, it kind of has to do with that slanderous piece, the defamation piece, you know, part of a certain type of comment. And I just kind of wanted your thoughts on that, because, you know, what do you see is within defining what is slander, what is defamation, that aspect of it, because our public comment says we won't allow this. And what I find challenging about it is who gets to make that call in that moment. Now, our rules say the chair is really the one moderating comment. You know, how do we responsibly identify that when we see it happening, and then make sure that we're not, you know, asserting an interpretation that may or may not be, and that little area right there, I think, is a slippery slope. It's something we need to address. And I don't know, do you have any thoughts about how we can work on that piece?
Well, I think there's two separate things here, right? So I am familiar with some grievance forms. I mean, we allow anybody to submit any grievance. We've never limited that. So when individuals come in person, and this could be varying departments, I do think maybe you both can touch on public engagement versus public comment versus public testimony, because those are all three different things, right? So public engagement can happen in many ways. I have, during my job, which is, you know, this can be 40 hours a week, 8 days, you know, it doesn't matter. You can have public engagement in many forms. I think there's a missing piece here, and that's understanding what these meetings are. These meetings are business meetings. So there's a purpose to these meetings. The reason they're public is because we have 2 elected officials who are the governing body of Lincoln County. But the meetings are specifically for conducting the county's business. We've allowed public comment, but legally we're not required to, only required to allow public testimony for required things like land use hearings or other kind of public hearing matters. So I think that distinction needs to be made is, what is this meeting? What is the purpose of this meeting? And it's to conduct the county's business. And we do have to ensure that we are able to do that right, so we can function as a governing body. And that is one of the jobs of the commissioners, is to conduct county's business. So with that said, are there other ways of public engagement? You know, public comment is a one-sided comment, right? It's the way we have it crafted is we listen, but there's no engagement, right? There's no back and forth. So I know both of you meet with individuals in the community. This can be done 365 days out of the year, not just for 3 minutes twice a month, right? Other counties have, you know, coffee with commissioners. They have listening sessions where one commissioner has listening sessions with members of the public. So there's other ways of public engagement if that's the desire and that's what the ultimate goal is. So my goal, just as your legal advisor, is we have to ensure that we comply with the law, right? So we have to ensure if there's legally required public testimony that we have to provide during our business meetings, that will occur. So as far as the other things, you know, I will advise you if I have enough information during the meeting, if I feel like something is delving into violation of the rules. As legal advisor, I can advise you of that. Certainly neither of you are attorneys or are qualified to make any legal determinations. So I'm happy to do that during the meetings, advise you if during public comment, someone might be delving into something that could be a violation of the rules. However, somebody that commits defamation or slander, they are responsible for that behavior themselves, right? Legally liable. Yes, CIS, our insurance company, does have concerns with what they have been witnessing because there is liability for the county as well if we allow this kind of behavior to go on. But really foremost is the safety concerns for our employees and for other members of the public. We have had a member of the public that was, cited for assault, and this was, before a meeting, and it was over public comment. So this has really caused a lot of high emotion. So I think there's ways to have public engagement, and I think maybe that's something that both of you can talk about, and then maybe how we can, restore our business meetings so we can actually continue to conduct business and be able to function as a government.
Thank you, Council Yule. What happened? Somebody was cited. Could you talk about that a little bit? I've not heard this. What happened and when?
So I believe this happened maybe last fall or summer. Somebody was cited for assault. I believe it was dismissed. However, this was all surrounding signing up for public comment and surrounding that issue. So.
Okay. Do you, I think, Council, I feel like what you're saying is from a legal risk perspective, I feel like you're saying two things, actually. One, from a legal risk perspective, it would just be easier maybe not to have comment at all, right? Because it would just remove that as a vulnerability, I guess, if you will, right? Is that true? Do you feel that way? It would just kind of take it off the table, and then it's just not something that we need to deal with.
I'll let you and Commissioner Chuck decide how you want to proceed while we have this pause. Both of you have been aware of, I think things have escalated where you have staff members who will no longer attend meetings. We have department directors who will no longer attend our meetings, and members of the public. I think Commissioner Chuck touched on that. There's been a lot of talk of transparency, but I think with a lack of understanding of what that really means. And we've actually had the opposite effect of creating meetings that aren't transparent, that are not open to everybody, where people don't feel safe coming, which is very concerning.
Can you expand at all on either of you on what instances where people's safety has felt threatened? And because if we're to define, excuse me, guys, I don't know what's going on. If we are to explain to people, Commissioner Chuck and I decide to keep comment going. I do think largely that's what the community wants. But if we are to refine our rules and make them better, so when we're reading them to the community, and they are above the line to be most productive, what is it exactly that's going on? I feel like I've heard anecdotal information, but do we have any behaviors that we can discuss that happened that constitute this fear of safety piece? I feel like if we can name it, we can tame it, and I'm not sure anybody's really named it yet. Walk me through an example of, the complaints we've received, so I'm certainly I want to understand more exactly what it is. What are people doing that has made others feel unsafe? Do either of you kind of have a handle on how to describe it in detail?
Yeah, I would encourage you to speak to David Collier because I believe he's the one that has received the complaints. I have received some of them for fear of physical safety, being approached while people are trying to do their jobs and and just physical intimidation, so physical safety concerns. So that is, I believe, some of the safety comments.
Okay.
I mean, I would follow up with Mr. Collier. I'm certainly not trying to name complainants or delve into things that might be confidential. So I want to be careful with that, HR, when they do receive complaints and they're taken in confidence, I think it was communicated that the complaints were regarding physical safety. I believe Mr. Collier has his own observations of what he's been witnessing. But yeah, I'd encourage you maybe to follow up with HR. Did we lose Commissioner Miller? Or?
I'll wait till he gets back on till I say my.
It's way far away. I'll remember that.
Are they talking about David? What are they talking about? Talking about anybody that says something they don't want to hear.
Right.
It's okay when Deborah Drew screams and shouts. It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Casey's asking for examples and they're not giving any.
Of course not.
It's confidential. Monica Kirk posted it online.
Right.
There's nothing confidential. That was a setup between her and you.
Yeah. That's what got the ball rolling.
We see all of it.
Yep.
They think they're going to help us stupid, but we see it.
So they want to limit public comment. But when Casey asks for examples as to why, now it's an HR issue, which is confidential.
Right.
So how do you win that argument?
Well, you don't.
It's all one big setup.
You're not supposed to win it.
Can't talk about it. Can't
It's
talk about
okay.
it.
You just shut up.
Public comment should be about the issues that are on the agenda, first of all, and there's never any public comment before they decide. You know, it's like, what?
And then
You know?
It's showing their true character.
Yeah.
He's coming back. Casey's trying to reconnect.
Shouldn't be at the end after they've already said, oh, well, we wanted to
Counsel?
talk about the recycling, but, you know.
I don't see Commissioner Miller. I don't know if he lost connection.
He's trying to reconnect, so. I guess he could come here.
Okay, let me know when you're there so I don't miss you in the participants list. I want to get you Maybe to sign out of Zoom and sign back in. Oh, are you got juice? Okay. My computer went to you 2 days ago. It's 3 days ago. No, Friday. I got it back yesterday, and it still wasn't right. Something in the air, Casey. All right, let me see. I don't have you popped in yet. Woohoo! I hear that. Okay, so I don't see you on the list. Come on, Mr. Miller, you should be at the bottom. Panelist. You're there. You're back. You're back.
You're back. I can you're on the panelist list. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So sorry. Okay, I'm back. Yes, lost power. So sorry about that. When I left, Councilor Newell, you were talking about reaching out to the HR director and sorry for the loss of continuity. Please continue. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, if you need a definition of safety, what physical safety concerns are, I think they probably can provide that. But that's my understanding is there are safety concerns. And I don't know if that was communicated to you directly.
Council, can you answer a question for me, please? What was the, since I wasn't here when these rules were made, what was the impetus for it? What was the cause for them to be done over or formalized?
Yeah, I think again we did have adopted generally that speakers could speak for 3 minutes, and so again it was adopted because I think rules also were not being enforced. Just incivility, lack of decorum at our business meetings really led to adoption of the rules.
So kind of the same situation we're in right now, basically?
Yeah, a little bit. I think it's escalated, right? We have physical safety concerns. We have, members of the public getting cited for assault over public comment. So I think I would say it's probably escalated. The problem is you can have all the rules you want, but if they're not being enforced, what good are they at this point, right?
Yeah, I understand. No, I understand. And it's not Lincoln County isn't the only place that's happening. I mean, we're seeing the escalation of incidents at state level and national level. My concern is that if right now, if we continue, is that it further escalates. We did have someone come up to the dais the last meeting and confronting staff. Some of the other comments I've heard from staff is during the meeting, it's not that they were approached, it's the manner in which they were approached, the tone of the people that were talking to them. I understand that some people can be a little upset at times, but that doesn't make it okay to confront someone in that manner and make them uncomfortable. And we need to also remember that our staff, that while they are public officials, they aren't, that part of their job is not to, they need to be able to conduct their job. And if they're not able to come to our meetings and conduct business and present to us, they're not able to do our job, and that's on us, the commission. So just want to make sure that we make our meetings as open to people to attendance as possible.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Chuck. I'm glad you brought up the origins of the rules. And, I think it's good to have them. I think from the jurisdictions I've looked at, they overwhelmingly do have them. Things are just tense out there anyways, is my read. People are, I'll say this, I think people are heavily invested in wanting to be able to, have voice. I just really don't think, I know for me personally, but I really don't think broadly from our constituents that they want to lose the opportunity to engage with us. So I think we do need to find a way to make it work for everyone as opposed to, removing this opportunity for everyone, right? As Council Yule pointed out, we are not legally required to provide it, right? And there are some jurisdictions where you can't provide input. I don't want us to be one of those. I'd rather us, kind of work through this and solve it. Commissioner Chuck, other jurisdictions, for example, the public needs to submit their materials, mid-room, right? They can't approach the dais, for example. That might be one thing that we could consider that keeps that safety space, if you will. For others, I did have a conversation with our sheriff. There have been many years where the sheriff is present in our meetings, and I think Sheriff Shanks said that he's open to the idea if it's needed to post someone, but he would like to not have to do that, right? And I agree with him. I mean, I think that to me is something I hope we could find ways to moderate the meeting so that isn't necessary, right? And we've had many years, you guys, many years of where this was not a challenge for us. I think in my observation, sure, sometimes we've had input that is intense, I guess is the word I would put towards it. But overwhelmingly, there haven't been concerns for safety. I mean, so if we can put in some buffers, some refinements that make sure that nobody has to feel that way, I'd like for us to explore those things. Commissioner Chuck, you were saying about Lane County, what exactly is it? Did they eliminate rules or what did they do there?
I didn't say anything about Lane County.
Oh, okay. I thought that's what you said. Commissioner Chuck, what else are you feeling? Were you approached at the last meeting and was that uncomfortable?
It was uncomfortable for me. It was uncomfortable for the staff member that was at the dais too.
Okay.
That was so scary.
Yeah. Well, I just appreciate you talking about it. I mean, that's important. And so maybe that's part of the piece, right? Maybe we ask people to keep space between the board and the audience.
Honestly, we can ask all we want, but if someone wants to do it, they can do it.
Do what?
Approach the dais.
Well, I mean, I think.
And Commissioner Miller is, we've gone over these rules, and one of the reasons they were put in place the first time was because of uncivil behavior, and now we're having that same thing.
Well, what was the? I don't.
Council Yule was, when she was
Soluble-
giving us the background on why they were made in the first place. I'm not one for making up more rules, honestly. I think that we have a good set of rules here. We need to enforce them consistently and make sure they apply to everybody. And as far as this incivility in the room, some of that was not during public comment. It was just people sitting in the room, whether it was a staff or member of the public. So I do not want to bring more liability onto the county on if these these issues continue to go on.
Sure. Well, then I guess, Commissioner Chuck, what are you proposing? What do you want to see as the next steps?
I think we should have the little pause and then discuss it at a later time.
What do you mean? Pause. What do you mean?
Pause on public comment and continue to go virtual.
Okay. So, Commissioner Chuck, let me understand what you're saying. You're saying that at this moment, you're proposing that we remove public comment from future agendas. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
For the time being, we should, yes.
Okay. Commissioner Chuck, I tell you what I would like to do. I would like for us to, and I guess you just said you don't want to do it, but I think we need to bring those comments, public comments, in either redlined, highlighted about the items that need to be addressed or refined. I think we also need to look at the other changes around rules, right? Like written inputs, virtual inputs. Take a look at what those are. I think we need to take HR directors' details about what is described behaviors that he discussed with CIS, so we can bring that type of information back in so we can describe in the rules more details about what not or not to do. Because as chairs, when we're chairing and public is coming forward and we need to moderate and potentially, in some cases, we might have to prohibit individuals, if necessary, from providing comment in the future. We're going to need to be able to describe to the people the behavior modification needed. Commissioner Chuck, I don't think kicking the can down the road, to put it bluntly, is going to solve this issue. And I just can't support at this time just thinking that it's magically going to get better. I mean, I think we need to take a leadership and show this community that we can help create the environment that allows them to engage with their government. And we can help shepherd that opportunity through our leadership. And I really invite you to join me in showing the community that we can provide that leadership so that they can continue to come and talk to us. They've done this for years and years and years. And I really, really believe it's a valuable service that the community wants.
Well, I will say that there's nothing from stopping people from doing written public comments at any time. They can submit them on the smart sheet. I think you created that, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I think
we do have multiple ways for people to provide public comment to us, whether that's in the grocery store, at public events, fundraisers, going to city council meetings, hosting our own gatherings, as you do. Post when you're going to be at a coffee shop. There is not a lack of people access to us as people. you have the internet. There are many ways for us to get comments. And at this time, I think having them submitted in another way is our best foot forward. You know, and as far as leadership, I mean, when these rules were put in 2 years ago, I mean, that was one of the reasons why it was put in. So how did this not fix the problem? The rules that were currently put in.
Because you didn't.
Yeah, I think that's what we need to dive into, definitely.
Yeah. And I cannot monitor people's feelings. I cannot monitor their,
But he is.
the way they wish to behave. You know, you had suggested having a sheriff's deputy there, sergeant at arms. And, you know, honestly, I don't think having, you know, basically an armed guard there at our meetings is a good look. And I don't think that we need to provide the opportunity for a bad actor to create a situation in which we are made to look creating a theater event. I'll put it that way. And I don't think we need to be doing that right now. We going virtual. We'll solve some of those problems. Let the community take the temperature down. You can have more public notices of where you're going to be. I can do the same thing, and people can come talk to us, and then when we have our meetings, we can see how it goes.
Good. All right. Well, my motion, Commissioner Chuck, is that we bring back to discussion public comment. We bring back staff feedback about what constitutes unsafe behavior. We bring in feedback about line by line, public comments of what works, isn't working, and then examples from other jurisdictions, perhaps rules and modifications we could bring into public comment. So, you know, at the next meeting for discussion, and I hope you support me, to keep public comments and make it better. Would you second that motion?
No.
Commissioner, no.
Okay. So in absence of that, Council, Commissioner Chuck and I obviously did not direct staff to remove public comment. Can you talk to us a little bit about why or why not the decisions are within the authority of the board? Who's making those decisions, and can you tell me a little bit about how it works between you and your HR director to decide these decisions for us?
So under the law, if there's public testimony that is required during our business meetings, that will occur. So that means for any kind of public hearing, a land use hearing, it could be an ordinance. So that's what's required under the law, is that if we do require public testimony, that will happen. So just based on advice from our insurance company, obviously my position, I don't want to create liability for the county. I hopefully you don't either, Commissioner Miller or Commissioner Chuck. So I'm going to take the lead from our insurer and from HR on, especially when I have staff and other employees that have come to me for months about this safety concerns, and now it is escalating. So public testimony that's required under the law will be included on our agendas, and that's where I think we should go from there. As far as public engagement, I'm going to echo what I said earlier and what Commissioner Chuck just highlighted. There's many ways to engage the commissioners, more than twice a month for 3 minutes, right? So you can meet with commissioners, you can email, you can call. There's many forms of communication and public engagement. Again, we need to be able to conduct our business. We've had some meetings where we've had to end them early. That occurred, over the past year because of behavior and misconduct. I would hate to see our business meetings have to be canceled because of this. So yeah, I think we should be able to conduct business. I'm going to go back to COVID and the pandemic and why things were virtual, and it was for health and safety reasons, which I see is analogous to what's going on right now. There are health and safety issues going on, and we have an alternative way to conduct business, and we have alternative means for the public to engage with their elected officials, which includes more than just commissioners, right? So we have other elected officials at the county that they like to engage with and should be able to contact based on what business they do, as well as appointed directors. I know planning meets with constituents all the time, our planning director, as do other elected officials. So again, I think there's many ways to engage for the community, and I think it can happen more than twice a month for 3 minutes.
Okay. Well, thanks for the feedback. Okay, well, so just to recap, the motion to bring back and discuss, change, improve public comments has not been agreed to. And I think what I am hearing from Commissioner Chuck and you, Council Yule, is that the public should understand that you are removing, for the time being, public comment from the agenda. And then, so let me ask you then, does this mean as well that your intention is to continue to have virtual only meetings instead of meetings at the county courthouse?
I just want to clarify that public testimony that's required under the law will be on the business agendas.
Not the same, honey.
So what are we doing as far as, today it was virtual. Are you both intending not to have in-person meetings at the county courthouse moving forward?
So I've been directed by Human Resources from our insurance company that as an employee, I'm not allowed to attend an in-person business meeting right now.
Can you talk about that a little bit, Council? Because I've been trying to kind of figure this out. HR directed you to do this?
And your insurance company?
I think it's been covered, but for safety reasons, I know that you were contacted that employees were directed that they're no longer. Some employees haven't been attending for months, even though their jobs require them to be part of the business meeting. So yes, in consultation with Human Resources. Are you going to the email, Commissioner Chuck?
I am.
Okay, thank you.
So, for the record, I did. You and I both received an email on Friday, Commissioner Miller, and I will say it says over the past several months, it has become increasingly clear that business meetings are getting out of control due to disruptive members of the public. Safety concerns can no longer be overlooked. Many of our directors will no longer attend meetings and have asked Kristen or others to present business matters for their departments because they don't feel safe attending. Our partners have also declined attending for similar reasons. Support staff in the office have also stopped physically attending because of the disruptions, threats to their safety, and impacts to their well-being. Well-being includes employees being able to perform their jobs free from harassment or bullying. Individuals who appear to be followers, supporters of Commissioner Miller are abusing public comment and meet the definition of harassment and bullying toward our employees. I know you have tried enforcing the rules, but it has not been effective. This toxic work environment cannot continue. In consultation with CIS, I have notified staff that effective immediately, business meetings will be held virtually because of safety concerns for employees and the public attending. Additionally, due to concerns for employee well-being and liability for the county, only legally required public testimony will be allowed at meetings.
Okay.
So that was the email I received, and I will be following the directions of our insurance so we do not incur liability to the county.
Commissioner Chuck, thank you for sharing that, really, because yes, my email is similar, but different. And Director Collier is our HR director. I don't see this as a directive, considering we're the commission, as much as a recommendation. Can you talk a little bit about, again, both of you, saying that you're being directed versus really a choice that I see that the commission makes? I'm just confused about how we're interpreting this.
Well, first of all, you and Commissioner Chuck aren't county employees. I am a county employee. So that is the distinction. And I guess you would have to understand what the purpose of human resources is and kind of their role for safety. And yes, it's in their purview. Sure, I could disregard this directive as an attorney, because I do have staff that have raised safety concerns, staff that I supervise. I'm not going to ignore that. And as a supervisor, as an attorney for the county, I do see the liability in that.
Well, then you can sue.
So is the HR director providing this guidance? Commissioner Chuck, do you agree that it is our authority, our responsibility to work together to take that guidance and make a choice about that guidance?
Well, during my first month as a commissioner, I did a lot of training. And one thing that I did learn is that even though we only have 2 employees, we are responsible for the fiduciary responsibility for the county, which would make sure that we don't do something that makes us incur more lawsuits. And the other thing is, if we are approached by an employee that is having problems at work, whether that's harassment or something else, that we are legally bound to report that to HR. And I consider that letter, and myself, I've also been approached and talked to HR about some other things that are going on onto the building. You and I both have that responsibility. If we are told that there is something going on that would bring lawsuits to the county or an unsafe work environment, that we are duty bound to bring that to HR, and I have done that. And that's how I consider this email. So I consider this email as doing our duty. We've been told that there is a problem in the county, and that as in our roles as leadership, that we need to take that seriously and protect our workers.
Okay, appreciate you explaining that. And I think you've made it clear that you do not want to look at the public comment rules and try to retain public comment right now. Commissioner Chuck, while we're here, is Director Collier, from your perspective, the county administrator right now?
He is the HR director.
So, since we're here, who is the county administrator, Commissioner Chuck?
We don't currently have one. We are in a search for filling that position. Some of those duties have been delegated out.
Do you know which duties?
Do I know which duties? Some have been given, I think some of them have been given to finance and other departments. So that's my interpretation.
Okay. This is one of the topics I requested on the agenda. And, we seem to continue to not want to discuss it or define it, which I think would be tremendously helpful to me and to you, and to the rest of our team. We have department heads who aren't entirely sure what the role of authority is right now and who's authoritatively making decisions in what areas. And I'm just wondering why we can't talk about that. And I really appreciate you supporting me in figuring that out.
Well, I can tell you what I've done, Commissioner Miller. I've reached out to department heads and I've met with other elected officials about their offices, and they seem to be chugging along just fine.
I mean, are you open to having this be a discussion item in which Director Collier helps us understand from an organizational management perspective who he's supervising on what and how that order, chair/administrator flows forth from us as co-chairs, because my interpretation of it is that you and I are simultaneously co-chairing and co-administrating this organization. And that Commissioner Hall, before her passing, when the order was passed, making her chair/administrator, that she sent an email to Director Collier saying that she delegated authority to him. Now, I've never received anything from Director Collier on this myself. I'm asking before and asking now to try and understand where we, as co-chairs, serve as administrators, and then where that delegation may have been assumed or happened, and then who's currently acting in such a manner as directing individuals under that authority. I just think it's a really important discussion to have. I think there's a great value in us having it together. And I'm just honestly just still confused exactly about what's going on, and realize that director is directing people in some instances, but not others. And I just want to really understand what's going on so that I am not missing anything, or the board is not missing any things that we should be responsibly overseeing because we think somebody else is taking care of that responsibility. And maybe in some cases, those things are happening, right? But why we can't sort of pull it all together for a complete picture is just, I just don't understand the resistance to doing that.
Well, the first thing I will say is that you and I are just co-chairing meetings, and that was the extent of it. We are not co-administering, and I think we have very competent department heads and elected officials running their departments. If I want to reach out to them, if they have a problem, if they're having issues, they reach out to me, and that's how I see going forward until we get an administrator in. I think we just need to proceed as you and I co-chairing the meetings and letting the departments do their work. Currently, they're doing a great job. They're going to continue to do a great job, and I think that we need to be able to let them do their work.
Okay. When Claire sent that email to Collier, do you think that was effectively her giving the authority that if we had for example, say we hire a new administrator, that she took that responsibility, and that again, David is assumingly our administrator for practical purposes, as Johnson used to serve us then?
So can I just step in? So under Ordinance 517, which moved us to an administrator form of governance. There is a provision in there that allows, whoever the acting administrator is or interim to delegate certain administrative authority. So I believe Chair Hall did that to Mr. Collier. Also some duties to me. Commissioner or Mr. Johnson delegated some projects to me before he left in order to keep those moving. One of those is to ensure the commons redevelopment occurs. So that's been a big piece of my workload. I know our finance director has administrative duties that probably would fall under our administrator, but because of our administrator not being here, those has been delegated to him. So essentially, yes, I think all of your directors are going to ensure that work gets done, that day-to-day operations get handled, which is really what the administrator form of government is. And then, Commissioner Chuck and Miller stay within their roles of board members. But back to the co-chair. So when you both approved that, right, a 2-0 vote to co-chair this rotating meetings, and that was for only presiding over meetings. So it was a very narrow motion. So that's just for presiding over meetings. So right now we're recruiting for administrator. I'm hoping that somebody can get on board by this summer. Rothman is supposed to have candidates screened, and then hoping interviews can happen this spring.
So Council Ewell, thanks for clarifying. It sounds to me like what you're saying is that several of you have kind of divided and conquered, if you will, right? And are taking care of these important responsibilities in absence of an administrator, or at least a hired administrator. Council Ewell, when we passed that order, making chair / administrator, and Claire since passing, her delegation of her authority, in your mind, whatever, I've only seen one written instance of where Claire sent an email to staff. Help me understand that. Is that, in your assumption then, with Claire's passing, still the authority under which you guys are, operating? Was that essentially the legal communication needed to give everybody the responsible or the authoritative responsibility to do all these things?
Are you making a legal interpretation that if somebody passes away, that all of their delegations or authority, orders that she signed as a commissioner are no longer valid because she passed?
I don't know, I'm asking.
No, I mean, that's not the interpretation. So, for example, she signed public comment rules. She made motions last year. Those don't become invalidated. They could if the board took action that would change that, right? So an example would be if you decided to, you and Commissioner Chuck or another commissioner decided to put in place new public comment rules, those would override those rules. But no, there's nothing that has been, I guess, canceled or, delegations are no longer effective because it would have to be by another decision of the board, or if you passed an ordinance that may be amended, Ordinance 517. But I would encourage just, review 517, and there does explain delegation. But in effect, every job, especially every director here at the county, has administrative duties as part of their jobs, right? So if you go through job descriptions and it's parsed out, every job has administrative duties, especially as a director. So I don't see, operations are occurring like Commissioner Chuck said. Work is continuing. The lights have continued to stay on, and we're able to pay the bills, which is important. So, yeah, I'm hoping we can get an administrator in. That was the decision of the board to move to that form of governance, and that's what definitely needs to occur. So,
Council Ewell, Claire's email that was sent to me forwarded to me where she gave Director Collier these responsibilities. Is that to you the binding communication that, you know, delegates it from her to David?
So again, I have similar emails from Mr. Johnson delegating projects when he was administrator to ensure that those projects continued, and he delegated those to me as administrator. I think that happened also for Mr. Pierce, our finance director. Certain things were delegated to him to ensure our budget would, you know, continue and flow. So yeah, I mean, somebody can delegate authority, of course, and that's it. Then that's spelled out in the ordinance.
Okay. Well, that's helpful. I mean, at least that gives me an idea of. I mean, do you think it would be of value to kind of bring all of that together under kind of one comprehensive understanding, right? Like, especially for Walter and I to understand who's doing what. And I mean, you know, not being at the office, for example, these might be conversations that you're having with Commissioner Chuck. Commissioner Chuck is maybe having with Director Collier, et cetera, that I just haven't been privy to. So to kind of keep me in the loop and help me, I don't know, maybe even understand, I guess, maybe things that you guys assume I know, for example, would be helpful.
I don't think these are conversations necessarily happening at the office. I think, honestly, I don't see Commissioner Chuck very often. He's not in the office very often. He's out in the community, just as you are. I think these are day-to-day operations, and so I think it's just understanding, you know, what is the role of staff and directors who are in charge of departments and day-to-day operations, and then just the role of commissioners with that. And I think really the administrator ordinance kind of explains the administrator is kind of like analogous to your CEO of an organization, and they're in charge of day-to-day functions. Of course, you have a board of directors, and you guys would be that, the board of commissioners. So I think just understanding those roles, and yeah, I mean, I think if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. It doesn't have to be during a board meeting. It can be by email or a phone call. And I think Director Collier can answer questions if you have them.
Yeah, I thank you both for your time on this and for giving me the opportunity to try and understand what's going on. So appreciate it. I know it wasn't on the agenda.
I would like to say one thing though. So all the emails you're referring to, I've never seen them. I've never asked for them. I think that we have very competent staff. If there was a problem, I would reach out, or if I thought there was a perceived problem, I would reach out to the department head and talk with them. Sometimes I call them just to see how they're doing. I see them in the hall, so I'll ask them how they're doing. They'll call me and say, hey, can I talk with you about something? And that's not a function of just being in the office. They have my cell phone. They can call me at home. They can call me anytime. And I've let them know that. And so that's how I see that. And as far as letting up, I think we should make sure that we are not trying to manage departments for these people. They are very competent and they're doing a good job. I have not seen services not happen through the county. So I mean, if you're seeing a problem, Commissioner Miller, I would suggest you just reach out to these people and, you know, address those concerns.
Great advice, Walter. Thank you.
I do.
Okay, so let's move on to the next item. It looks like you have a report or several reports. Commissioner Chuck, please tell us what you've been up to.
We had the two days of meetings with AOC. Basically, we all got just updates on what went on in the legislature. There were a lot of bills that were put forth that did not get passed that were good, that would have encumbered the county for financially. Some of the good things were the transit lodging tax, the battery recycling, Basically, it was just a wrap up, and the legislative committee was very, very happy with how the session ended, and we started talking about priorities for the next year. It doesn't stop, so just a short report on that, and then went to EDALC, was able to do some good networking there. I had to take off for a little bit during the day to do some stuff for the fair, but I was able to talk with many of our members of the business community, community leaders. Senator Anderson and Representative Gomberg were there, got a chance to talk with them. Regional Solutions, the governor's office, we're currently working with some projects with them, or trying to get some of them projects on their radar. So it was a good opportunity to network and meet with people. So that's my report.
Okay, thank you very much. And then I think you and I tomorrow are going to be at CSC, right? So we'll both be attending that meeting. Of course, those are open to the public. Anything else for the good of the order? I think it was our CSC meeting that might have gotten in the way of potential commissioner vacancy interviews. Is there any update for us or the community about when you anticipate we'll do those interviews before we close this out?
I think Ms. Campitelli has reached out to look at schedules, and so I think we have some dates, hoping we can finalize something, but it's going to be after the spring break week, which is next week. So maybe the first or second week of April, I think, is what they're looking at.
Okay. All right. All right, everyone. Anything else for the good of the order? No?
Have a good day.
Yeah. Appreciate your time, everyone. Have a good day, and this meeting is adjourned. See ya.
I'll just tell you, I think it's crazy. Did they send you down here by yourself today to do this meeting?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. How you doing?
I am all right.
It's
Really
a
didn't
lot. I mean,
expect that, you know.
Well, you know, people are upset, and I get why people are upset, but that's exactly why this is happening. And here, I think, you know, if there was some clarification around if they should have been talking or not talking, right? Like, I don't know. I like to believe that people want to have a relationship. Some people, I think, anymore, they don't. They don't care anymore, they're frustrated.
Common manners, you know, just mind your manners. That's all you gotta do. Being kind is really a good goal, right?
That's what we live by, so. Oh, man. Well, thank you for what you do.
You are most welcome.
I don't think it's healthy for you to come here by yourself so the public can be here and.
Unfortunately, bullies of the world, there's just not a lot you can do.
Yeah, and they're everywhere anymore, it seems. Just gotta focus on the positive.
Go get some food. It's 12:30.
Yeah, we gotta go open our restaurant, so.
Oh, where?
Kindred in Lincoln City, Kindred by Zest, so.
I don't get to Lincoln City, so tell me where.
Right across from, do you know where Zeller's is in town?
Yes.
It's where Maxwell's used to be. We're right across the street from there.
So what do you serve?
Pizza, crepes, and tacos, and then a whole array of beverages. So our specialty menu is all non-alcoholic, and people can add a shot or a half shot if they want.
Yay!
But yeah, we try to be really inclusive. And did you provide those? Or?
I think Casey just told me that.
Awesome. But opportunity to recycle. Report on that. I love the
Thanks
trash
for
folks.
coming, guys. You have a good afternoon.
Thank you. You too. Those are nice cookers. I want
Are you still in town? Because I'm done.